Can I just say how awesome this year's been so far? And to top it off, we have some amazing fall anime for 2023. With just a few weeks left, I'm so excited to share with you my top picks for the season. Of course, our opinions may change as we watch more, but that's all part of the fun, right? We can always look back later and see how our thoughts have evolved. So let's dive in and enjoy this amazing season of anime together. Let's get on with it. Here are my top 10 new anime for fall 2023. Hope you enjoy it. Starting this season review is Kingdoms of Ruin. How's some edginess to start your day, hey? Edgy really is the keyword to describe Kingdoms of Ruin. A witch hunt, a quest for vengeance, lots and lots of violence, and a protagonist who tethers between the role of a hero and a ruthless villain. You kind of get where this is going, right? It's not exactly a mind-blowing premise in a world that Kingdoms of Ruin promises us, but overall, it manages to entertain, especially with the whole thing looking like a magnificent train wreck. And you know, that's not always a negative description for those who've been around the anime scene for a while. It's got its target demographic, and if you have an affinity for revenge stories that don't pull back on the violence and the tragedy, as well as some fan service, mind you, you'll love Kingdoms of Ruin. Ron Kamonahashi's Forbidden Deductions come next.
類いまれなるこの才能を生涯探偵に捧げることは僕の責務だ。
As a palate cleanser from the intense emotions from Kingdoms of Ruin, why not try a fun detective mystery? Forbidden Deductions fits the bill perfectly as a relatively light-hearted show that manages to be very engaging. If you remember The Millionaire Detective from a couple of years ago, you generally have an idea of what the feel of this anime is going to be like. It's got some appeal with its twists on the whole Sherlock Holmes premise, and while it starts slowly and takes on a Mystery of the Week format, the characters and their pretty entertaining interactions do their job of keeping me watching. While its success to an audience largely hinges on how well the reception of the characters is, there are some laughs to be had with its brand of comedy. Overall, a good watch that you probably won't regret, even if it's not something that will completely stand out and be the anime of the season. Berserk of Gluttony also finds its way onto our list. Berserk of Gluttony is quite a strange case. It's something that I've looked forward to entering the season a lot, mainly due to the aesthetic appeal that's pretty much my jam. It does look pretty cool and it has quite an interesting premise too, but midway through the season, and reception to the series has been quite mixed for good reason. It's mostly due to how the story seems to meander around after the first few episodes, being quite random and actually straying from the source material a bit. Still, for what it has to offer, it does remain quite good. Berserk of Gluttony has nifty fight scenes and the story does progress at a fair speed. Even the developments can be quite random, as I've said. It's a zero to hero, an underdog rising up against a world story that will more than satisfy your cravings for one. It's serviceable overall for what it aims to do. Characters that aren't too deep but have their quirks, fights that can be enjoyable but not coming with eye-popping animation and the like. You get the picture. We continue with the fantasy anime train ride. For our next entry is Ragnar Crimson. Ragnar Crimson is another of the fantasy titles that I look forward to in my pre-season video. It's got a little of everything that you typically want from a dark fantasy anime. Engaging characters, a gripping narrative, and a bit of special intrigue with a familiar world being chief amongst those. To that end, I think that Ragnar Crimson does pretty well for itself with what I've seen so far. However, for someone who's read the manga, the experience may fall a bit short of expectations. Ragnar Crimson also has the underdog story elements that have seemingly become a staple in the action anime world, all while maintaining its gloomy vibes. There's the question of immoral forces seemingly on the side of the protagonists, and it uses that to hook you in on an adventure that really gets you into it. Ragnar Crimson is likely my pick for you if you have an itch for dark fantasy that needs to be scratched. For what it's supposed to do, it does it with a lot of competency.
爆発しろ。
Next up, we take a look at the first rom-com, 100 Girlfriends. Right off the bat, 100 Girlfriends does away with the pretense. It has a wacky premise and it runs with it all the way, giving you sound expectations of what you'll be getting in this harem rom-com. And it really works in multiple ways too, especially for people who are fond of the harem genre. The cool thing about harems, or at least shows with a large core female cast, is how they can market themselves to the target audience. With that many characters and their stories explored bit by bit, there'll always be someone for you to like. The success of that aspect hinges on how well the story can elaborate on said characters and make you care. And 100 Girlfriends does that pretty well with this brand of comedy. People have been saying it's the funniest anime of the season, and while I agree with that, I also find it nice that it can shift gears when needed. The premise means that the girls won't find as much opportunity to grow, at least not as in-depth as those who want deep romantic development, but given the context of the premise and the resulting hilarity, I'd say it works out just fine.
私たちのどっちと付き合うのですか？
答えは CM の後。
ぶっ飛ばされたいの？
What you can do, however, is to hit that like button if you're enjoying this kind of content. Shangri-La Frontier is here to give us more craziness off the break.
広い。
Shangri-La Frontier is an anime that wastes no time making a strong first impression. People have called it a surprise of the season, but you can't say that I didn't see it coming. But this is already looking mighty promising for a video game show. In terms of mass appeal and grabbing your attention, there's no beating Shangri-La Frontier. It wastes no time pulling you into it, whether it be through the bright and colourful world, the charismatic main character, or just how well it presents video games. People have called this a love letter to gamers, and you can clearly see it with the execution and how the story's being told. Honestly, it does feel refreshing for once to have a video game anime about, well, a guy playing a video game without many repercussions. For once, the game itself and how it works plays a large role in the narrative in a more direct way. No isekais and no video games being a hook only to be thrown to the wayside once the proper genre of the anime, like drama or romance, takes center stage. The last anime to capture that feel for me is Bofuri, and that was another show that I liked. Whether you're someone raring for video game anime or not, give Shangri-La Frontier a try. Much of what makes it click can't be adequately expressed in words, you'll just have to experience it yourself. We then move on to Undead Unluck at number 4. Here's a much anticipated newcomer to the party. Undead Unluck, like Shangri-La Frontier, made waves with an excellent first episode. A crazy fight scene and a wild premise that doesn't seem too outlandish in the world of shonen. This is an anime that got off to a pretty hot start. It's a whole lot of fun and not the mindless type, mind you. There's more to it as it tries to weave its way and add its unique spin to the tried and tested shonen tropes it throws at you. You know, the insane fights, the secret organizations, the crude jokes that pop up every now and then, the winning shonen formula, if you will. Much of the enjoyment, however, comes from the chemistry between the two main characters. They're a pretty fun duo, though the way their relationship gets written isn't exactly anything groundbreaking. It still manages to form the cornerstone of what's been so far a very entertaining title. If you want to pick up a new show to watch and want a little bit of chaos, Undead Unluck is the one for you. Entering our top 3 now, we begin with the Apothecary Diaries.
まさか人さらい？
They kept us waiting, but the grand opening and debut of The Apothecary Diaries proved to be a big success. The Apothecary Diaries presents itself as a unique show, standing out from the rest of the field with its historical setting and a different point of emphasis on the art and aesthetics. It excels in those fields that greatly help set the tone and mood for the show, but what puts it over the top to be one of the best new anime the season has to offer has to be the world building. The world and the characters all form a pretty interesting bunch, and the first 3 episodes, which were aired back to back, turn out to be a very great hook into the setting. Court dramas aren't new in media, but they've often fascinated me with how well they eventually delve into politics and deeper emotional developments, and it's a place I can really see Apothecary Diaries heading to. With over 20 more episodes for more mysteries and developments, this is a very, very promising title.
ありがとう。
At number 2 we have Pluto. Pluto's a sci-fi thriller that people have been praising non-stop, and it's easy to get caught in the hype and check it out. Trust me, you won't regret it one bit. It combines some amazing visuals and sounds with a somber yet very thrilling story about humanity's interaction with technology. The production value is sky high for Pluto, and I'd say it plays a part in emphasizing the overall tone and mood that the series is going for. And that's not even with the characters, which can be said to be the strongest point in Pluto. The character building here is pretty remarkable, and the way things were built up makes the payoff very strong. It's this aspect that helps make the emotional moments in the anime strike harder than they should. Pluto, as a standalone, works decently. Still, it feels like something that you can enjoy even further if you have some knowledge of its source material, its parent story. Regardless, Pluto manages to bring out some of the best you'd expect from psychological sci-fi and presents it in a way that anime viewers can enjoy a lot. Full of thrills, mysteries, and action, a great title for sci-fi fans to binge. Everyone's pick for the season. Frieren, by all metrics, is really one of the best titles the season's given us. Whether it be story, character depth, sound, art presentation and the like, it really is the most complete title and something that can be recommended to anyone, even those who aren't fans of anime. It's a journey that has a lot to unpack, filled with emotion and moments that make us rethink life and our position in the grand scheme of it all. I do think this show deserves to be the #1 anime of the season, and it really is if you're to take a look at it through most lenses. When you look at it, the arbitrary thing holding Frieren back is that it isn't, for lack of a better term, exciting enough, if you catch my drift. Not that that's a knock against it, but it's something that the typical young anime fan of the modern era wouldn't be running in droves to watch without the frankly amazing word of mouth. It takes things slow and lets you marinate on its themes, instead of blitzing through the plot and giving us spectacular fights or cliffhangers that keep you waiting. Kinda like Vinland Saga 2 as opposed to 1, I guess. Tell me what you think of the list and the placements down in the comments section. Feel free to also recommend some fall 2023 anime that you think deserve some love. As usual, if you enjoyed the list, hit that like button and share the channel with your friends. We're still trying to grow the community here, and it would be awesome if you could keep our momentum up. Thank you for watching the video. Looking forward to seeing you in the next one, which shouldn't be too long. Have a great day.